So now what I'm going to do is jump right into sewing. Exact same process as we did before. So because I'm right-handed, I'm starting on my right side, working towards the face, creating that back stitch for more stability and more support, working all the way to the left side of the head, and again, back stitching to the same point as we started on this side. So what we're going to do first is just get started in our sewing with our double knot, and then creating that double anchor stitch, and then all of those single anchors as we work towards the face. The only difference sewing on this row is I'm going to show you a different hand positioning. I really want you to try on both ways and really find what's more comfortable, holding it palm towards you or holding palm away from you. The previous row was palm away from you in that rotation, always keeping fingers away from you like this. What's going to be different on this row is as you rotate, you're going to keep palms towards you, stabilizing the wefts, rotation, keep everything towards you. So the only difference is this versus this. But that could be the difference between you having total control and total dexterity. So try both ways and find what works better for you. Again, I'm right-handed, so I'm starting on the right-hand side. So we're always starting palm like this, going behind, picking up the hair in the anchor row. It allows you to stabilize the needle, pulling all of that slack through. That feeder thread dropped out. I'm going to just place that needle up top here to allow me to have my hands free. I'm going to tie this double knot. One. More. Okay. So again, just like we did previously, we're going to over direct our thread, going behind, crisscrossing. Notice how I'm stabilizing with my finger. I'm kicking that thread out. So you see the needle is going between that loop. I'm holding my hand out this way to prevent the drag of the hair getting drug up with the thread. I'm going to create a double anchor. So turning once, turning twice. Now, I'm back with my hand against the head. And just like the other hand positioning, you want to make sure you're putting the needle through in the correct position. So when we were holding our hands up this way, I was going up. Because my hands are now pointed this way, I need to go back through. If I bring the needle through this way, I'm going to undo the stitching that I just created, or the twist that I just created. To create that knot, I need to go through this way. Lifting up, rocking to the left and to the right. So there's my double anchor. Now I'm going to continue with single anchors. Over directing, going behind, picking up all of that hair in the anchor row. Maintaining control with my fingers always against that weft. When I lift up, I rotate once, bring that back down. Notice how my hand is flat against the head, controlling those wefts. I'm kicking my hand out to prevent drag. I'm not overextending my arm. I'm just reaching back to pick up the slack in this loop. Take my thumb, press up, or press as I rock up to lock it. Remove my marking clip. Over direct. Bring that needle through vertically. Crisscross that over so the needle's going through the center. Notice how stable my needle is. As I pull that through, I'm kicking out the thread, preventing drag, lifting up, rotating one time, going through to create that anchor stitch. Lifting up, rocking it to lock it, working towards the face, going behind, kicking that out, lifting that up, rotating once, letting that thread drop, going through, pulling the slack, lifting up, and pressing with my thumb, rocking it to lock it. Once you've secured that area, you can remove the marking clip. I'm going to remove this marking clip and place it just below. I want to make sure that all of these hairs are nice and smooth. Over directing. Picking up the hair in my anchor row. The nice thing about this allows you to really pull on the needle this way. If there's a lot of movement or the needle comes towards you, it's telling you you're not quite hooked onto that anchor row on the interior. So you can really use this as a great way to check before you get too far. Lifting up, one rotation, going through, kicking out the bottom of my hand to prevent the drag. Sometimes it still happens, like right here. And lifting up. Applying pressure as I rock it to lock it. Readjusting my marking clip just to make sure I'm keeping that bead covered, making sure that my wefts are still cascaded from the interior to the exterior. You want that exterior layer totally covering all of the interior wefts. Now I'm going to go in front of the bead here. And now that I have that single anchor stitch right in front of the bead, I'm going to just do 4, maybe 5 back-to-back anchors, creating those knuckles. Lock it to lock it. I can remove this marking clip now. Right here, just to control those baby hairs. And I can get 1 more, maybe 2 more of those stitches in. Okay, so I have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 single anchor stitches in, and I see that there's this free edge right here. Any free edge, again, it's something to pick at, so you always want to make sure you add as many stitches to really make sure that that's nice and secure, nice and flush with nothing to pick at, no free edge. That looks beautiful. It's nice and secure. It's laying very flat and flush. So now what we're going to do is continue to back stitch, splitting the difference and going between our previous stitches. Again, you can choose to do a top stitch, but for added stability, you can continue to do anchor stitches. So now what we're going to do is over direct, stabilizing with the hand. So with my pointer and thumb, I'm over directing, stabilizing the wefts, using this as a guide for my needle. Now, the reason we want to start to work this way is because this way is more comfortable. You automatically create that crisscross, so no need to crisscross the needle to go through the center. It's already doing it for you. Your hands are here, you lift up, one rotation, going through to create that single anchor stitch. Lifting up, stabilizing with your thumb, and rocking it to lock it. Holding with your thumb, pulling up to close that stitch. This is nice and stable. It looks good. It feels good. So we're going to keep going. I'm over directing the thread this way. Stabilizing with my hand. And behind. Pulling that slack through. Lifting up. Doing that rotation. Bringing the needle through. Holding it with my thumb. And lock it to lock it. Over direct. Stabilize. Tension with my thumb, rock it to lock it. You can see how this weft is cascading up from the interior. So I just want to reposition those wefts, cascade them. Hold that in place and use my marking clip to stabilize those wefts. Use the end of the weft here. I want to make sure I secure. I'm going to do an anchor stitch and a double anchor just to make sure. Here's my single anchor. To lock it. And next to it, I will do one more double anchor stitch just to really make sure it's secure. And that weft stays in place and you don't have that end to pick at with the free edge. To create the double, it's 1, 2 rotations. There's no free edge to pick at. I'll just do a top stitch here, and then right here is another free edge, so I'll do a double anchor and a single anchor for stability. So this is just a top stitch. Remember, the top stitch is just over directing, closing the loop, rocking it to lock it with no twist. So here's the edge. I'm going to do a double anchor right here just to make sure it's nice and secure. You can do a simple top stitch here by just closing the thread. You can see this weft popping up from the interior. I'm just going to cascade those with my fingers, repositioning that. So I completed my double anchor right in front of my first bead. Now I'm going to do my back-to-back single anchors just to make sure it's locked in place, nice and stable, and no free edge to pick at. So I want to check. Make sure I still have that one tiny little bit so I can get one more single anchor stitch in there to make it nice and secure. Okay, so I've completed with that 5th anchor stitch, the 5 knuckles right here. It's laying nice and flush. There's nothing to pick at. It looks good. It feels really good. So now I can back stitch and end right here with my double anchor. Remember, now that we're going the opposite direction, we need to kick over that thread so that the needle is going through the circle, through that loop. And one more, I'll do 2 back-to-back double anchors just to make sure it's nice and secure and end my sewing. So double anchor 1. Remember, double anchor is just 2 rotations counterclockwise. And a double anchor right next to it. And then 2. And rock it to lock it. It's not going anywhere. It's nice and stable. It looks good. Just going to check the interior underneath. It looks really beautiful, nice and clean. All of the wefts are secure in place. Remember, you want to leave it at least 2 to 3 inches long. And again, to hide that, you can go up and behind. pull that thread through the loop tool and then slide it down to hide on the interior of the row underneath all of the wefts. So same thing, this is the thread we first started with. Cutting this. Going behind with our loop tool. Grabbing that hair through the loop tool and pulling that through, hiding that on the interior. Going through and brushing. Making sure it looks good, it feels good. The blend is beautiful. The sewing is very clean. It's nice and secure. We've checked the interior all around. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Checking the interior on this side. And that looks absolutely gorgeous as well. Nice clean sewing, no wefts falling down. Again, if some of the wefts were like slipping or falling or kicking out underneath, you can always go back and just throw in a quick few double anchor stitches to really make sure it's locked in place.